Hello, and welcome to this Forever Winter video. Today, we're going over the patch on December 19th and the following patch on December 20th, a hotfix for the patch on the 19th. So, the first big area this patch covers is the water system and invasion system that kind of accompanies the water system. And the first part of this is water still functions basically the exact same. You can store up to 100 water, and every day, even out of game, it will go down by 1. If you hit 0, you essentially have water death where it wipes your account, except for I think your level ups in prestige. Now, to help alleviate this, they have introduced a concept or upgrade called water bots, and there's 3 tiers of water bots, starting at 1, giving you 1 water every 2 days, 2, giving you between 1 and 2, and tier 3 giving between 1 and 4 every 2 days. So essentially, once you get to the highest tier of water bots, you should either have a passive or net positive gain of water, so you never have to worry about water again. However, this comes with a few downsides. The first being, it's pretty expensive, especially for newer players, to get water bots up and running. The tier 3 water bots, which you basically need to be self-sufficient, I think, is around 600k and 95 water. And it's not too hard to grind water, but it's definitely going to off-put new characters or new players to the game where they're like, oh, to not have to deal with water, I have to like grind a lot. And the other thing, the other downside of the new water bots is it causes the chance for an invasion of your innards by the water thieves. And that's its own little system. So the higher tier water bots you have, the bigger chance you have to defend your innards versus a water thief invasion. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this triggers yet. I'm guessing it's like a daily percent chance perhaps every day based off your clock, something along those terms. And when this happens, this innards defense and water thieves, you experience it last patch. It's way less worse than that apparently. It's much easier to defend, especially because you can buy turrets now in your innards to give you additional defenses against water thieves. But there's always still that risk of if you lose that mission, I believe you get basically water death because they steal all your water. Leading us to our last point for this first section, the invasion-proof storage. So in the metro tunnel leading to your innards base, there's now a water vault or invasion-proof vault that you can store up to 10 items and seemingly infinite credits. I put 4 million in there and had no issues, so I'm guessing it just goes up as many as you want. I'm not sure if there's a downside to putting credits in there yet, but you can just throw all your credits in there and up to 10 items. Note that this does include quantities too, so you can't store, say, 100 medkits. It'd be 10 medkits total, so keep that in mind. All in all, it's interesting. I still don't think it goes far enough. I really don't think we can really have a system here that ever works out of game clock. I truly think the only solution here is an in-game time system, perhaps like raid based. So every raid you go on is a day, and that's how they do water. That would require its own balancing and its own little talk, but not for right now. This is the patch notes, and let's move on to our next slide. All right, so yeah, and then this patch includes Gunhead, a new character. Gunhead is interestingly pretty unique. He has a high base HP, starting at 2.25k, so way above everyone else. He can use all weapons and rigs, so heavy machine guns, the rack, all of the good stuff. Now, the downsides for having those very nice upsides are massive. The biggest thing Gunhead cannot do is he cannot heal. And I've kind of grown like a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome to this feature. I didn't like it at first. I thought it was too draconian, and I probably still think it is a little bit too far, but I really do like the injection of intensity it put back into the game for me. It creates very tense situations as Gunhead because you get low on HP and your playstyle has to change from being very aggressive, or can be very aggressive, to I need to hide and get the fuck out of here, I'm about to die. So it's interesting. I like the gameplay patterns. I just think too it's incredibly punishing, and the biggest thing I can say about Gunhead's inability to heal is it's kind of just again highlighted how insane the medkits are for all of the other characters and how much they make a lot of the game, not a joke per se, but just way too manageable by just throwing resources at it, right? I found myself with Gunhead playing a lot more tactically, using cover a lot more, trying to be smart about my engagements, as opposed to like, say, Bagman, where I can just be, you know, little advanced medkit, spam, painless, kill everything in sight. Gunhead feels like the first character where you can't be that guy, or if you be that guy, you can't be that guy for very long, and it's kind of refreshing. So I know it's gonna probably suck and it might feel painful, but I think this might be the area where we need to start weaning ourselves off of how insanely strong medkits are, and perhaps looking at ways of making more characters a little bit more like a Gunhead in that capacity. However, I will fully address this too. The medkits being the way they are help alleviate a lot of the janky issues in the game currently in regards to you getting murked out of nowhere for the AI aggro system, which we'll go over at the end of the video. So if they nerf the medkits or healing in some capacity, it needs to come with the AI being revamped a bit also. It can't just be one or the other. The other downside of Gunhead is he's very noisy. We'll get into this at the very end of the video, but essentially, just for now, I'll say he's basically twice as noisy as every other character in the game. And that will make more sense later. All right, the next item, Frozen Swamp, which you have been seeing on the screen now. Frozen Swamp is already by far my favorite map in the game. It's absolutely fantastic. It's the first map where I feel like in the game, it's got a good mix of both gameplay and ambiance elements, and it doesn't feel like it sacrifices one or the other, right? It's got a lot of ambiance features on it that actually add to the gameplay, and I don't want to spoil it too much. You'll see what I mean eventually when you start playing it. Everything on the map seems like it has a purpose to be a location for you to explore, a quest item location, or to create tense situations that also expand on lore a bit too. So the new map's great. It's like the highlight of the patch for me. It's way better than Cemetery. Cemetery still has many issues right now, I would say, but Frozen Swamp is quickly my favorite map. Quests and NPCs. So new quests, we have a few new quests, about 5 or 6 on the new map. A few of the old quests on other maps, for example, the Hidden Water quest, you can now do that. Most of the quests are still broken in some capacity, like the valve you press on Nexus and go over to Enclave. I haven't found that on Enclave yet, so I'm guessing it's still broken. But some quests have been fixed in that capacity. Still no AA vehicle yet. It'll probably be in the Q1 update, I imagine, with new vehicles. We also have Lordos, the Orgamech. So in the Blood Bag room, we now have a new kind of quest giver / lore dump guy. And all he does is give you quests to give him cigarettes. So the premium, the imports, the regular cigarettes, he'll eventually, the trade-off is this basically, you give him cigarettes, he gives you money and lore. And it seems that there's multiple different like tiers of this. I've been going for a while now, giving him lots of cigarettes. I'm now to the point where I'm getting like $500,000 for cigarettes. It's 20 of them or so it's a lot of cigarettes, and it takes a while to get all of those, but he's paying out top dollar for cigarettes, and he's also giving you some really cool lore on Eruska and Eurasia, and kind of the process of becoming from a citizen to where he is at now. So it's a great way of telling the story, and also rewarding things you wouldn't normally chase for in raid, like cigarettes. So other changes, we have sound additions and improvements. So a few units have been updated with different sound effects now. So the grabber sounds a bit different, the exo sounds a bit different, other various units sound a bit different here and there. All mainly subtle stuff unless you listen for it. More distinct sounds are better. I love them. Moving over to the weapon sound effects, the SVD, a few different guns now have different sound effects when silenced. It definitely helps the game a bit in regards to contrast, just because hearing the same sound effect for every silenced gun is a bit off-putting. So even if the sound effects for the guns aren't perfect, them just being different helps out a lot. Quest sound effects. So when you complete a quest objective now, you'll get a nice little notification sound effect, which is kind of nice. Another thing you'll see too is a lot of the maps now, like mech trenches, a lot of the quest areas and variable quests like Plug Pull will have their objectives giving off sound effects now to make them more noticeable. In a few instances, like especially on the new map, they kind of highlight areas with a square on your HUD to show you where to go. And I hope that's just a placeholder for sound effects in the future or other effects in the future. I'm not really a big fan of the HUD element, but for example, there is a quest on the new map, Frozen Swamp, where you have to go put a jammer in the center of a drone hive. It'd be cool if they telegraphed where you need to go by being able to show a drone swarm off in the distance and like, oh, naturally, that's where I need to go. But other than that, yeah, Mech Trench is great. The new sound effects for quests are awesome, and I hope they do more of it. Rig sound effects, I imagine this is pretty subtle. I did not notice this at all, but I wasn't actively listening for it either. Gameplay and features. Enemy accuracy and damage output. Enemies are more dangerous. Drones are noticeable in this regard. They're pretty accurate now and they shred you. They still die pretty quickly, but if you aren't ready for drones to be shooting you, it can be very deadly, especially as Gunhead. Drill device consumable. So there's a new consumable called drill device. Essentially, it's like kind of like a Payday 2 sort of mechanic where you attach the drill to a door or a locked container, and after a while, it will open. I imagine in the future, this will have sound effects to notify things in the area that you're doing this, kind of like higher risk, high reward, which I really like. In-game VoIP, self-explanatory, nice feature to have, just nice quality of life feature. Prestige cap increased to 50. I think this is just a stopgap for Gunhead, because Gunhead has so many skills that the current system to up to 25 wouldn't work for him. So they just increased the prestige as a way of accommodating Gunhead for now. I do not think the system will stay as is. If you actually like the system, let me know. I am very curious. I don't think I've met someone who liked the prestige system at all. It feels kind of weird for leveling up, having to reset what rigs you can carry and so on and so forth. It feels kind of weird. It's fine for now. I know why they did it, because it's just a way of getting Gunhead in the game. But yeah, there's not much there for most characters after 25. Enemy sync kill adjustments. So it seems like in most instances, enemies that had sync kills have to be closer to you now. They can't do it from far away. At the same time, earlier today on Cemetery, I did manage to get mauled by a dog from very far away, but it was through a doorway I can't pass through. So I'm curious if it's just a bug with that door and if it's fine everywhere else. It seems mostly fine now. The dog had to be just like right on me before for another kill it had on me. We'll say it's better for now, but still like an asterisk mark over it. Various other fixes. So localizations, just translations for other countries or other languages. UI interaction with control pad. I don't play with control pad. If you do, let me know how you feel about it down in the comments. Is it better? Is it worse? CPU, GPU network optimizations. I haven't really noticed an improvement or worsening, though my rig's pretty stable and like locked into a certain area of FPS with my current setup. It doesn't really change regardless of what I do. So if you got better FPS, if you got worse FPS, is it better for you, worse for you? Let me know. I'm curious. Let everyone else know too in the comments if it's actually better, because I know it's a very big thing going around right now. People want to know if the game's running better so they can start playing it again. And I will say too, the new map runs great. Still by far the worst performing map is Elephant Mausoleum. This map blows it out of the water, both aesthetic wise and performance wise. It just seems like Elephant Mausoleum is like a relic of the past or the original game. It just needs to be updated basically. All right, on to our last topic here, the new AI system. All right, the new AI. The best way I can explain this is that your characters now all have a cylinder around them, with most starting at 6 meters, with Gunhead being the exception at 12. What this cylinder is essentially an aggro radius, where units within this proximity to you will begin aggroing to you regardless of terrain or height. A drone 50 meters above you, but only 5 meters horizontally, aggroed. A soldier on another side of a concrete wall 4 meters away, and you're standing still, aggroed. This is mostly egregious on vertical maps, like Frozen Swamp, and is the reason why heading up the giant staircase at the injector site you'll have units coming up or heading down at full aggro states already. This cylinder also seems to be adjustable currently, but only in a bad way. Sprint modifies this radius by either 1.5 or 2 times. Standing still, crouching, or wait does nothing to this radius. The minimum is 6 meters or 12 meters for Gunhead. This may not be intentional though, because it negates the ability to do stealth kills, so it might just be a bug. Another aspect of this new AI is the aggro queuing. That being, squads can now place you into a queue to immediately engage you afterward if they finish with their current target. Say for example a squad of Europans are engaging a squad of cyborgs. If you sprint by while they're fighting them, even if you're behind a wall or behind them, if they see you, or if they enter your cylinder, either by their choice or your own, you'll build up aggro. If you fill up this aggro enough to the point where they would shoot you, but they're still fighting these cyborgs, they'll place you into a queue. Once they've finished with the cyborgs, they will immediately target you and begin firing, sometimes at great distance. It seems like once you are in the queue, distance or time will not remove you from that queue. Only that squad despawning or dying will. When that squad finishes with the enemies they were fighting, they will move on to the next unit in the queue, which happens to be you, at whatever distance or terrain you manage to cover in between them queuing you and then finishing off their original target. It feels a bit weird for now, but if they're able to change the cylinder to a sphere or ellipsoid that can have bonuses like weight, character stealth modifiers, like for example Scav Girl being stealthier than Bagman, or having stealthier weapons like pistols having a stealth modifier, it seems like a good baseline. Though the aggro queuing might need the exclamation point back to notify you that you're in the queue of murder. In regards to our last hidden change, I did not see this last patch, so I'm guessing it's new. It seems on the grabber's head, there are 2 weak spots on the far flanks of its head on the left and right side, and if you shoot them, it's an easy way of staggering the dog. Like, even with like 1 or 2 shots, it will stagger the dog immediately. And what I'm hoping this is a precursor for is the ability to have your teammates or allies shoot the dog in the side of a head during a sync kill and have it drop you. It could be the base or start of a system like that, right? And I really like that idea where, sure, it might punish the solo player, but you're playing solo, right? Not everything can be for you. Having a teammate can be helpful, and that would be a cool start of like, hey, having a teammate is helpful. It stops dog from instantly murdering you and rewards teamwork. I think that's really cool. All right, that's all for this patch video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.